Welcome to Vivid Talk. I'm Gwen Witherspoon, brand strategist and better life coach. Over 6 months ago, I can't believe it, I set out to do 12 episodes of Vivid Talk Live. After successfully completing 36, it's time to do some pre-recorded episodes to fine-tune what I have shared with you so far. But first, I want to make sure you follow at Gwen Fuchsius on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Gwen Witherspoon Coach on YouTube, so you can find me wherever you are. Now, I'm going to start a new segment called Review. So let's take a look back at a clip from the very first episode of Vivid Talk Live. Every time I ran into a roadblock in my business and my vision, and I thought I couldn't move forward because this thing was in the way. Every time, a little time would pass, and next thing you know, all those obstacles would be removed by technology, by some new thing I learned, by some new relationship. So every time the time would be going on, and it felt like I was not getting anywhere, but I was still moving towards it because I still had that vision in front of me, even when I felt like I was insufficient, where I didn't have enough, or that I wasn't enough. No matter what is holding you back, no matter what is making you afraid, no matter what it is, you got to move towards it, because that's where your purpose is. That's where your destiny is. That's where your influence is. When you set out to create the positive future you've imagined, you will most certainly be greeted by an obstacle or two, as evidenced by that clip. Instead of allowing them to stop you in your tracks, I have 3 simple steps you can take to break through your roadblocks. If you want to know how to break through your roadblocks, you first have to know that you have some, right? You got to be able to identify what they are. So I started thinking about, what are all the possible roadblocks that we can face? Like, whenever you set out to bring your vision to pass, what could possibly happen? And I think I have identified 5 categories that almost any roadblock you can think of can fit into. And so they are, let me read them for you: money, knowledge, people, competition, and time. Okay, just 5. And I think anyone that you can come up with is going to fit into one of those categories. Now, let me explain. So money. Money is easy because most of the time, whatever it is that we want to accomplish is going to require some kind of an investment. So whether you need equipment specifically to do a certain thing, whether you need just the money to get the licenses, the money to buy the products, the money to buy whatever it is, you're going to need money. And oftentimes we let money be the one thing that keeps us from moving forward, because in our minds we think of this astronomical number, or we make it feel really big. Perhaps your own personal finances are stressed. Maybe every time you get ready to step out, something happens. The furnace goes out, like ours just did, and you gotta get thousands of dollars to go ahead and get that going again. And so that wipes out whatever money you had. I mean, whatever the situation is, money always feels like an unpenetratable an unpenetratable roadblock. And what I want you to understand is that you can't allow money to stop you, because as soon as you say, I don't have, you're already behind the 8 ball. You are already, you've already limited yourself in your own thinking. So rather than allowing money to be the obstacle that keeps you from moving forward on your vision, I want you to take the time to really just identify, first and foremost, how much you need. Because oftentimes we will create in our minds something that's much bigger than what we actually need. And if you take the time to actually just back up, no matter how big the number is, right? Do some research, back up, Figure out how much you need and write it down. Write down every single possible step, every possible expense that you could ever think you might need, so that you at least get a realistic picture of the reality versus what you have, this idea in your head. Okay. Now, number 2, knowledge. What we all say is, I want to do X, but I don't know how. I don't know how to do it. I have no idea of how to approach it. So what you want to do is realize that if it's something new, of course you don't know how to do it. Of course you don't. And if your vision is big enough, of course you don't know, right? So what I want you to do first and foremost is to not allow not knowing. We're going to stop it in its tracks. We're going to remove it of its power, because what I want you to understand is no one expects you to know how to do the thing you've never done before right out the gate. No one. And there's no one that just jumps up and all of a sudden they know how to do it. You may follow your instincts. You may have the talent, the ability to step into a new situation because that's a gift maybe that you hadn't discovered yet. But the reality is, take the pressure off, right? Take a breath, take the pressure off, and realize that there's no way for you to really know until you start. And so don't allow not knowing to be a roadblock, because you can know. It is knowable. You can learn, you can find out, you can research, and you can try, you can start, you can move forward. And you're going to see that that roadblock just disintegrates, because the more you do it, the more you step out, the better you're going to be, the more you're going to learn. Learning isn't always pleasant. It's like sometimes what you're going to learn is going to be painful, right? But you can be confident. You can be comforted by the fact that this is something that you can know. First, and think about it this way. If you have the idea, if you see the need, if you have the passion, you have the desire, that by itself is an indicator that you could very well have exactly what's needed for the task, even if you don't know what to do first, what to do next, and don't know exactly where you're headed, but you do have a blurry picture out there on the horizon of this vision that you have of what you're trying to accomplish. And until you back up to where you are and find out, just look around, take inventory, do some research, ask some questions. Until you do that, you won't know the very first step, right? But once you get the information, you'll have an intelligent way to begin. Okay, so take the pressure off. Don't allow not knowing to stop you from going. I didn't mean to do that, but I'm a poet. Now you know it. Okay. I know that was corny. Okay, so then the third roadblock is people. And by people, I mean, you may say, I can't do it because I need help and I don't have anyone to help me. You might say, I can't do it because I don't have an audience. I don't know how to find the people who need what it is I have to offer. And again, we need to eliminate both of those things as roadblocks, because if you don't start, first and foremost, if you don't start figuring out how much money you need, like what it's going to take to get it done, you may say you need so many dollars for equipment, for training, for whatever, for expenses, general expenses. And then you need this, you also need part of your money is to pay people to do certain things. And then you may back up and say, well, I don't have any people. Even if I had the money to pay them, I don't have anybody. I don't know how to find them. Or in my case, many a time I needed people, and I didn't have the money set aside to pay the caliber, the quality of skilled people that I needed. And let me tell you, that feels insurmountable, especially when it's definitely something you don't know. Or when I set out to do Vivid Talk, one of the things that I wanted was a broadcast quality live stream program. And I found the software to get it done, But I needed people. I needed somebody running the camera. I needed somebody editing. I needed somebody doing sound. Like, I needed all these people to do the show. So I let it sit on the shelf for 3 years. Okay. But in that video clip, I mentioned the fact that whenever I came across a roadblock in the last 30 years of my entire adult career, whenever I run into a roadblock, time would pass. So in this case, it was 3 years. So in 3 years, that first roadblock, not having the people, right? I didn't know what I was doing either. And I didn't know the people. But because I didn't have the people, I also didn't have the energy to try to find out what I didn't know, right? But in 3 years, technology caught up to my ignorance, and I found a tool that I was able to use to run the show technically by myself. So then that eliminated, I didn't need somebody behind the camera. I have my husband, who's a professional photographer, who sets up the video camera for me, and he focuses and all of that. But once he does that and walks away, I can run the entire show myself. So what I alluded to there was, after time, technology solves the problem, or people I know, or, and so in this case, I have my husband here as a resource who could help me do the very thing I had no idea how to do, and I just physically couldn't do because I couldn't be in both places at one time. But now the problem's solved, right? So now I'm able to do the show. Now I know how to do simple editing. So if I have to, I can do it myself. Now, I am moving to the point where I'm not going to be the one doing it all. But now that I've learned and I figured it out, now I have a basis. I have a format. I have a template that I can share with somebody else, and they can help me improve the show. But I can't. If I had sat there and said, I don't know how to do it, I don't have the people, if I let myself stay there, then I would never have the show. I would have never moved forward. And the show is helping me just really work through the concepts that I have, help me share the ideas that I have to help other entrepreneurs. It's challenging me to be consistent, to develop myself. And so, but if I had allowed it to remain as a roadblock, if I had said, oh man, at least I started out saying I need 3 people, right? I need an audio guy. I need a sound guy. I need a sound guy. I need a video. I need this. I started out at least. So if you could start there, that's going to be the beginning of obliterating the roadblock of people. Okay. And then the next one is competition. I like this one because it's so easy to say, I don't need to do I don't need to do a video show, right? I don't need to go live. I don't need to, there's so many great people out there teaching, small business principles to entrepreneurs, so many people inspiring other entrepreneurs. I don't have to do it because somebody else is already doing it, or they're better. There's some really great folks out there doing it really well, and I'm not going to be as good as they are. Like, we can be so busy comparing ourselves to other people that we don't start. We don't develop ourselves so that we can grow. We spend our time comparing ourselves to other people who are further along. I've shared I've shared the story before, that I went to my college. When I went to college, I went there wanting my entire life, as from a little girl, wanting to be an artist. And when I went there to study art, I looked at all the graduate students when I was a freshman and compared my work to theirs. And I was just starting. And so in my mind, I always ranked myself below them. And of course, I would not be as skilled as them because they had been in the game much longer. So what we do is we waste our time and energy comparing ourselves to people who are further along in their journey than we are. And rather than drawing inspiration from them, we're comparing ourselves to them and allowing that to stop us from taking the first step. And what I want you to do is just to completely remove the roadblock of comparison and competition. That's the thing. And so it doesn't matter if there are more people out there doing it, Doesn't matter if there are people who are doing it better than you. Doesn't matter that if there's people who've been in the game longer than you. There's still room for you, and you can carve out that space by at least moving in that direction and eliminating your concern about who else is doing what you see yourself doing, because none of them are going to be able to bring to it what you bring. So don't allow that to stop you. Don't allow competition to stop you. And then the last one is time. Ooh, this one. How many times have you said, I would do X, but I don't have the time? Now, you may have some very valid time constraints. You may have a full-time job. You might have a really demanding full-time job. You may have family constraints, a mate, a spouse. You may have children. Young. Thankfully, my husband and I are at a point in the stage of our life where we are empty nesters, so I can spend my time doing whatever it is I want to do. I don't have anybody pulling on my time. He and I decide exactly what we do every day, and that's a fabulous place to be, because I was a single parent when I started as an entrepreneur. So I know the struggle of trying to juggle and manage all of the demands that are just put on your life based on where you are in your growth. But what I want you to do is I want you to eliminate time as a constraint. One of the exercises I have my coaching clients do is I have in my Flip Productivity book, Flip Productivity Flip book, I have an opportunity for you to keep track of your time in 15-minute increments, 24 hours a day. So I want to challenge you. Whether you have a flip book or not, you certainly can get one from my store on my website at gwenwitherspoon.com. But even without it, I want to challenge you to keep track of your time 24 hours a day for 7 days straight. And I will bet you, I'm willing to bet you some money that you can see where you would have some time to be able to spend on your vision. And trust me, it doesn't matter how small of a little piece of it is. If you carve out that time and you work on your vision, you work toward the thing that you want, you're going to find that you're going to make incremental progress. And then when you look up, suddenly you're going to look up and just be amazed at how far you come. But you have to start. You have to start. And think about it. Time goes by so fast, especially the older I get, the more these years just feels like minutes sometimes. But if you had, let's say, so there's 52 weeks in a year. So if you were able to spend an hour a week, 1 hour, that's 52 hours in a year. So if last year you spent 0 hours and this year you spend 52 hours, you are ahead of the game. And I think once you get started, you'll find that you'll be able to identify more space, carve out more space for it. And the other thing that tracking your time for 7 days is going to do for you is it's going to help you see not only how you spend your time and where you may have a little extra, but it's also going to show you what you can get rid of, and help you identify things you can completely eliminate. And I think to find the time, because if your vision is important to you, you have to make some pretty brutal decisions so that you can make sure you have time, especially if you have family, your husband, wife, children, animals, pets, even elderly parents. My parents, all of our parents, mine and my husband's parents are getting, up in age. Mom Witherspoon is 96. She's stronger than all of us, so she's an inspiration. But at a certain point, even though she lives alone, we're going to have to step up and perhaps help her, right? So that's going to be a demand on our time. I know I have other friends who are caretakers for their elderly parents. And so when you have real demands like that, of course, it's going to slow you down, but it doesn't have to stop you, because you can make your vision a priority around all of those other demands. And then when you can, you need to brutally eliminate those things that keep you from having the time that you need. And we're going to take a little break. And then when we come back, I'm going to talk about the three steps that you can take right now to eliminate those roadblocks.
Yeah, Tom, I have it with me right here.
Hey, the kids want to know when you'll be home.
It's great you took the risk, but it's time to admit it's not working.
No.
I know you gave it your best shot, but maybe it's time.
Maybe it's time to get a real job.
Welcome back to Vivid Talk. Now, whether your roadblock is money, knowledge, people, competition, or time, you can take these 3 steps to break through. Now, these are simple. Now, they're not easy. Let me give you that little disclaimer. I'm not saying that these things are easy to do, but these are really 3 simple steps that you can take. And one is you got to get organized. All those ideas and things going around in your head, plus all the stuff all the demands, all the things that you have to deal with, the concerns, the issues, the real things that you must face. You've got all that. I call that the brainstorm, all that coming at you until you sit down and organize it on paper. Like, you will never make your vision vivid. Make your vision plain. You will never get organized in your head. It's impossible. It just doesn't happen. Your brain doesn't work that way. So you have to get organized. And the first thing you do is get organized on paper. The second is you need to create a plan. Now, a plan does not mean perfection. A plan, I used to think that a business plan had to be like flawless from beginning to end. And then once you got it, I thought it was a finite thing. Like you start on it, you work on it, you finish it, boom, you're done, and that's it. But that's not reality. No matter what plan you create, you're going to have to adjust it. You're going to have to change it. Because as you grow and change, as you learn more, as you get more information, you have to adjust the plan. And having a plan does not mean that that's the thing that's going to actually come to pass exactly the way you laid it out. Doesn't mean that. The expectation is, just the reality is that having a plan, going through the discipline of organizing your thoughts, getting all of that stuff out of your head, putting it on paper in some organized format, right? And it almost doesn't even matter what format you use. You just need to use one so that you can get organized. And what I always do is I'll start with some kind of a template, and then I will kind of adjust that template as I go, right? Don't feel like you have to find a template and then stick totally 100% within that specific format. It may just be a working tool for you that no one else is going to see. So in that case, you don't have to. You don't have to adhere to some really strict standard. You want to go through the exercise of actually writing it down and creating some order out of it that will give you some marching orders that will help you figure out one step. This is the second step. This is the third step. And that by itself is going to transform your thinking, your attitude, your motivation, everything. It's going to give you something to start with. Something. Doesn't have to be perfect. It's just a starting point. And as you go, you perfect it, you make it better, you get answers to your questions, and you're able, those things that maybe you didn't answer fully, you can go back and edit. So I don't ever want you to feel like you're stuck. No matter what, there's always an option. There's always some room. And, and it gets, I think everything gets a little more defined, clearly defined when you have to engage with other people. and when you have to work within other institutions. So in those cases, you may not have as much room, but I think to start, as you are getting organized for yourself and you're creating a plan for how you want to start, that you can give yourself a break, right? You don't have to make it this big, insurmountable task. Just keep it as simple as possible, maybe working on one page and be done, so that you will be freed up to have the energy and the excitement and the inspiration to move forward. That's all you need. And then number 3, find a coach. Please don't be like me. I was just talking to someone the other day about how I went to college. I was used to in high school being overachieving, straight A, involved in everything. I was, just too much. And I was used to succeeding. And even if I didn't succeed, I knew how to just kind of frame everything in some positive way or take a detour so that it could all work out in my favor. But when I got to college, I was slapped in my face very quickly and got my first taste of failure. And it was miserable because I didn't understand. This was new to me. And I wasted 4 years of college suffering and never reaching out to somebody, never asking for help. I really didn't even know I could. And what I want you to understand is you will get so much further ahead if you have a coach. Even if you got to really get a suite of coaches, right? A team of coaches. They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a village to raise an adult as well, to raise an entrepreneur. We all need help. And if you think about it, every top performer needs a coach. Even Michael Jordan, even LeBron James, even pick the most skilled, accomplished person that you know. They all had some kind of help, right? Oprah has help from somewhere, even if it's just her team around her. There are people in her life that help her move forward. So what I want you to do is look for coaches. Find a coach. Now, I will caution you. Don't waste too much time and energy listening to a whole bunch of people that are just saying great things, but they're not specific to what it is you're trying to accomplish. So hopefully you can glean something from me that helps you move forward in this entrepreneurial endeavor, in building whatever it is you have on your heart to do. But if what I'm saying doesn't relate to you, you're not going to listen to me very long. But I may say something inspirational that you think is great and that might energize you, but you got to listen to to what a person is saying. If is what they're saying, how they're approaching it, is it lighting up your soul? Is it helping you to get the energy you need to move forward? Do you feel like they're speaking to you? Then those are the people that you need to follow. Now, you may not have an in-person, one-to-one coaching relationship with them to start. You may just get familiar with all their writings, their blogs, their videos, their books, whatever it is, their sermons, if it's a ministry situation. But you allow that person to be your coach first and foremost by following their teachings, following the information that they are providing, really taking in all of their content and then using whatever it is you can, pulling out of it what it is you need that's going to help you move forward. Then the next step would be identifying somebody who could work with you, either in a group setting or one-on-one. And in that situation, what I'm going through that myself, because I've probably in the last year, I found a number of coaches, and I now have a coaching relationship that really is helping me move forward. And what I'm realizing is I'm at a different stage of development. There's a threshold I'm about to cross for my business. And I need someone who has been that way before and who can help me really just break through my own mental roadblocks so that I can make some real progress, right? I'm there. I'm so there. And I realize that as talented and capable and experienced as I am, I need someone that can help me do what I do for my clients. They need to help me do that for myself. But I'm not going to be able to do it in a reasonable time frame. Like I feel at like this point, I want to propel myself forward. So if you're ready to be propelled forward and to really break through, you need the support, the accountability, and the encouragement of a coach. So you need to find someone that you can work with. And again, if you don't have the money to invest in a coaching relationship right now, then start by finding the information and then carving out time for yourself where you're going to go through, okay, I'm not just going to watch the video. I'm not going to just watch Vivid Talk. I'm going to watch Vivid Talk with my notepad. I'm going to pause it. I'm going to take notes. I'm going to write down insights. I'm going to make connections. I'm going to really learn it, understand it. I'm going to rewind, watch that again, like really take the time and energy. You can listen passively and walk away and say, "Ooh, that was good," and you're going to forget everything that you heard, no matter how good it was. And I may go the entire time and then just say one thing that that lights you up. And that one thing, if you can remember it and apply it, can help change your entire life. So, but if you don't listen intently and purposefully and intentionally, right, where you can learn and digest. One of the things they used to tell us in my MBA, it was you need to go to your, this is the secret I got from my husband. You need to go to class and pay attention and learn as if you needed to teach it to somebody else. So if you do that, you are 100% guaranteed that you're going to learn much more than if you just passively listen and say, "Oh yeah, that was good," but you're doing it while you're driving or doing it while you're doing other things, and then you forget and never come back to it. Or you take notes and then never come back. Now, there is a benefit. If you take notes, even if you tried to sit there and write down word for word, if you never went back to those notes, mentally, you gain a much, you retain so much more if you take that time to write. So taking notes, even if you never go back, is valuable. But it's much more valuable if you take notes and then you do come back. And you cannot expect that you're going to, have you ever listened to a song one time and then all of a sudden you knew all the words? No. You learn all the words to that, to what Rapper's Delight back in the day. You learn all the words because you listened to it over and 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 over, and you repeat it and you did it. So you involved your whole being. You might have danced to it. So all of that, all of those things, the more of your senses that you can utilize in the learning process, the more you're going to learn and the more you're going to retain and the better off you're going to be. So that's it. So those three things. So yeah, there's 5 roadblocks. I want you to think about the 5 categories: money, knowledge, people, competition, time. 3 simple steps that you can take to break through those roadblocks. So you want, 1, to get organized. You want to create a plan, and you want to find a coach. Each week, I want to offer you a practical tool to help you use the information I've shared. So tonight, I want to give you a 1-page marketing plan template, and all you have to do is visit gwenwitherspoon.com/contact and ask for it, and I'll send it to you. I just want to thank you so much for taking the time to join me for Vivid Talk. See you next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.